Well, hello, and welcome back once again, YouTube. This is Manny Gator coming back at you, and I'm going to be starting something a little bit different from what I usually do on this channel. Don't worry, I'm still going to be doing Kentucky Route Zero, and that game actually kind of ties into the theme I'm going to be shooting for, because I've been talking to people, in my personal life and at work about games a lot recently, because I fucking love video games. They've been a part of my life pretty much since I could remember. And I came to the realization, quasi-recently, that I feel like indie games, at this point in kind of the game development sphere, are just kind of better. It seems like you get more for your money. They're cheaper to start with. Half the indie games I have were $15 or less, even at full price. And if you get them on sale through Humble or through Steam, you can get a lot of really good games for like $5-6. It's fucking crazy. And games like FTL and other games like that, I've put tens, if not hundreds, of hours into at this point. And you can buy a $60 AAA title and you can play it for you get through the main campaign and you're just kind of done. And a lot of the times you may not have even liked it, and if you bought it digitally, you're fucking SOL. There's your $60 down the drain. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be doing kind of an indie game appreciation series, and I wanted to start with Cosmochoria because I think it's a really good example that just kind of encapsulates a lot of the things that I love about indie games. It's got a unique, simple art style that still really works for the game that they made. The game mechanics are simple, but that doesn't make the game easy. And that's something I'm probably going to be touching on a lot, because I feel like that's something that a lot of indie games have to do because of the limitations of the resources that they have. They're not going to have as much time, they're not going to have as much money, they don't have a dev team of 100 or even 1,000 people like a lot of the AAA teams are going to have. I mean, shit, some of these games were made by a handful of people working out of somebody's basement, and that's really kind of incredible when you think about it, that a game like this, which 15 years ago or 20 years ago was revolutionary, stuff like this would, if you show this to me when I was fucking 12, it would blow my goddamn mind. And I think that's really cool, and I feel like the indie games that we get really kind of carry on the spirit of the old AAA games, if that makes any sense. Like the old, pixelated NES and SNES and Sega and even early PlayStation games, where the developers at the time were working with a lot of new technology. They were still figuring out a lot of shit, and they still had a lot of limitations that we don't really have anymore. There were so many games that really managed to make just a basic 2D 8-bit game with a really simple color palette work incredibly well, and it's working within those same kinds of limitations that I feel like those limitations force the indie developers to make a lot of choices that the AAA developers don't have to make because they don't have those limitations. So it's like, we can't afford, to pay people who can do really impressive 3D modeling, or we can't afford the kind of computers that can render that kind of 3D modeling in the first place to put it into our games, or we can't afford the software to do it, yada yada yada. So, it's like, well, we're going to have to make a game that's in 2D. We're going to have to make a game with a more simplistic art style. We're going to have to make a game that doesn't have a huge, expansive world and a branching story, and a lot of the times it doesn't even really have much of a story at all. Or, the story is incredibly basic, like, to use FTL as an example again. It's just, you're part of the Imperial fleet, the Rebel fleet is chasing you, make it to the end and give your superiors the information and beat the guy. That's the whole story. There's kind of little mini stories within it that can get you to unlock the other ships and all that stuff, but that's really the whole story. And that's really kind of cool to me. And Cosmochoria, I'll talk more about it as I'm playing the game. The story is I don't even really know the story completely 100%, other than that it seems to revolve around collecting these mysterious stones that just kind of exist in space, and then fighting the boss. And you get the other stones from beating the bosses along the way. But Cosmochoria is, I don't know, I would say it qualifies as a roguelite, because you're gonna die, but the punishments of death are not too severe. You just kind of brush your shoulders off and start over, and anything you unlock, you keep and can use in your subsequent games. So I think I've blathered on enough. It's been like 5.5 minutes into the video, and I haven't even started playing the game yet. So let's fucking get started, because I really, really like this game. Pro tip, save up your diamonds to buy upgrades and items in the title screen store, or purchase 1,000 for $1,000. Ha, just kidding. That's another thing that indie games don't really suffer from, is the paid DLC or pay to win. I cannot collect that. Do I really not start with a jetpack? Oh my god. So, this is essentially the core mechanic of this game, is you're exploring space and claiming planets. What I'm doing right now is I'm planting. And so you put your flag down, and that means you've claimed the planet. Once you've claimed it, you can then start putting down plants. And depending on the size of the planet you're on, it needs a different number of plants in order to become, I guess, alive again. You can see that little heart in the middle there. So once that heart gets full, that planet is then alive. But I have to get the sprouts from the planets, or from the plants, so that I can plant more plants. So I only started with one, and when this little purple plant came up, it had 2 on it. So I picked those up and was then able to plant more plants. And then you have to sit there and water it so it'll start to grow. And sometimes the plants are dicks. Like, there are actually plants that will attack you. Some of them will, like, shoot laser things at you. Some of them will spawn an enemy onto the planet. It's really interesting and strange, but I like it a lot. I didn't actually pay anything for this game, but I think it's only like a $10 or $15 game. One of my Twitch followers bought it for me, and I super appreciate that, and I think it's really cool that people buy me stuff. You got a number ball. It says, find the bearded one. Press S to put it down. Okay, I'm not going to carry that around with me, because I don't really need it. And the other thing is, you can see that I got the heart up full, but it's gone down a little bit. That's because once you've claimed a planet, you can use it to heal you. But that heart will run out eventually, and then you have to give it more plants in order to fill up the heart more. It's a really cool system, I think. Okay, I finally got my jetpack, and you can see down here in the corner, this is the map, this is the name of the planet that I'm on. And so it's like, okay, well, I've got this planet liberated or claimed as my own or whatever, so what do I do now? I'm going to rocket off into space. And I'm just going to kind of float until I find another planet. And this is one of my favorite parts about this game, is just the exploration aspect of it is done in, I feel, such a cool way, and it's so open-ended. And, hey, how's it going, buddy? Ow, fuck you. That hurt. And here's the bearded guy. Tender biscuits of Avalon justice! I have waited long for a traveler like yourself to arrive here. Centuries ago, this galaxy was visited by a powerful force of destruction. The Cataclysm. Cataclysm? I don't know. I never witnessed the Cataclysm myself, but the ancients of this galaxy were all but destroyed by it. The remaining survivors created me, a child destined to live for a cajillion fucking years. Then they thrust me, diapered, into the cosmos. Here I have lived, alone, and waiting for a man of your stature. I can see that neither of us are wearing pants. I believe my purpose is to tell you what the ancients knew, but I'm afraid the knowledge they implanted in my brainy segments is encrypted or some shit. I think they wanted me to explain that one day the cataclysm may return, and that there might be a way to stop it. I'm really not sure. But to be honest, I barely know what any of this knowledge even means. Been alone almost my whole life. So lonely. Just waiting for the touch of another. With enough of those planted, I actually think you can release the lost souls of the ancients within the dust of each planet. Somehow the ancients knew you would come, traveler. If the cataclysm is to return, I think they want you to stop it. For good. That's my favorite song off the Wicked soundtrack. Revive the cold planets and you will unlock ancient treasures long buried beneath the surface. With these treasures, I think you can stand against the cataclysm. You must defeat the cataclysm, traveler. You are the last true hope. Also, if you find anything strange out in the cosmos, bring it back here and I might be able to help you learn what it is or what it's for. Be prepared to fight, traveler. This galaxy has lain in ruin for centuries. In that time, it has been repopulated by some super huge jerks. You might have my elderly permission to shoot them all right in their dumb, ugly faces. If the cataclysm does return, you must stop it, traveler. This galaxy deserves a second chance to learn. What do you think? Will you take on the cataclysm? Fuck you. Seriously? Okay, then that's weird. That's kind of the point of all this. Oh, also, if you find anything strange out in the cosmos, bring it back here, and I might be able to help you learn what it is and what it's for. Blah, 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 blah. What do you think? Will you take on the cataclysm? Thank you, traveler. It's not like I really gave you much of any other choice. Ow. So, it's been a while since I've played this game, so I'm kind of sucking at it right now, but it's definitely not as easy as it looks. Like, it looks very simple and straightforward, but good gravy does it get hard pretty damn fast. Ow, see, and now they're just, like, swarming me, and there's a bunch of them, and they spawn little guys onto the planet, as well as shooting at me from above the planet, and then I gotta collect these Dermans. No, 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 no! Oh, God! God. And, I didn't realize that this is not a game that keeps, like, your progress in a save file. So, when I uninstalled this game, I lost all of my progress. I had actually gotten to the final boss a few times. Never managed to beat it, though. And I really doubt I'm going to be doing it during this video, because this is just, going to be a series of kind of short videos, showcasing different indie games that I really enjoy, or, you know, have come out recently that I think are cool. And, yeah, that's just gonna kind of be the whole series. It's just gonna be me talking about, little indie games that I like. And, so you can see that this little portal opened up now that I, revived this planet. And, I never really paid attention to what this guy had said before, and apparently, like, it's the souls of the ancients within the planets that I'm releasing. That's what that little heart is, and maybe that's what this gas is supposed to represent? I'm really not sure. But it's really cool, and I love the stylistic choices of it, and every time you play, the entire map is randomized. So the planets are always different, and the layout is always different, so you can't ever have, like, you know, a consistent strategy of, you know, I go to this planet and these guys show up. Oh! Speaking of planets and guys showing up, the first boss just showed up. And that's one of those green dudes that I hate because they make you drop your fucking diamonds. Okay, so the first boss, I'm probably going to die, because the first boss is really difficult when you have literally 0 upgrades. I haven't hit a single weapon upgrade yet. I haven't been able to buy any of the better weapons from the shop because I didn't have any diamonds yet, because this is the first play on this file. Oh, shit. So the boss hasn't actually, like, the boss is here, as you can tell by the fact that there's a fucking health bar up there, but hasn't actually shown up where I am yet, so I'm gonna get the fuck out of Dodge and go back to the original planet that I was on. And this is where the difficult strategy part of the game really starts to come in, which is your planets you have to use as like a home base. So I can make these little turrets, pew-pew towers they call them, which I fucking adore. And so, you know, it's kind of turns it into a bit of a tower defense game in a way. But, yeah, it's gonna get really difficult really fast when this fucking boss shows up. And I'm not gonna spoil what it is, because I think the reveal on it is really cool. And it surprised the shit out of me the first time I played this game, suffice to say. And, oh shit, and then there's fucking, like, meteors or asteroids. I don't know what those would qualify as. You know, somebody who knows a lot about space, tell me. Number ball. Press S to pick it up. Up, up. Here he comes. Here he comes. Here he comes. That's a lot of fire. Here he comes. I am not going to beat this boss. Just a heads up. I'm gonna die. 100% gonna die. Oh, I'm hurting him. Yeah, so he's a dragon. Oh, wow. I might actually beat him. Ow. So I just kind of chill out on this planet until he gets too close for me to stay, and then I'm like, oh, fuck it! Get the fuck out of Dodge. And then I'm going to go back to this planet because it's the only other planet I know for a fact is safe. Shit, shit, shit! Going way too fast! Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, this is bad. Oh, this is not good. Hey, fuck off. Okay, how about fuck you? And also you. And how about a little bit of fuck you as well? Shit. Okay, I'm fucking out of here. Going back to this planet. And so what I do is I wait for the dragon to get over here, and then I'm going to risk it, and I'm going to take this teleporter, which is a really bad idea. Because I have zero clue where that's going to take me, and up until I heal this planet, I can't teleport back. So I've got to get plants planted on here as soon as possible, and remember that the teleporter that will take me back there is the one that's right next to the flag. Shit. Don't you fucking dare. So the first time this boss showed up, I had zero idea what to do. Like, I had no turrets down because enemies that would require something like that hadn't shown up yet. So I'm kind of fucked, because he's already found me, and I'm way too far away from any planet that I have a base on. How about fuck you? Jesus. Okay, so this is going to be a really risky proposition, but I'm going to book it and try and get back to that planet. Oh, wow. I might actually make it. Oh, son of a bitch! No, no, fuck your water planet. That shit slows me down a lot. Okay, and then you can just kind of drift. And you actually have to be really... Ah, God, fuck! You gotta be really careful with your resources, because, you know, you can see that there's, like, kind of a health thing for my jetpack, so I will run out of fuel if I'm just drifting around in space for too long. And that's bad, because you just kind of have to wait for it to recharge, and you can't control yourself when you're out of fuel. Oh my god, you don't need to pause me. Okay, gotta get another tower built here. And these fucking bees are horribly annoying because they will follow you from planet to planet. They're one of the only enemies that will do that. And see, now you can see this heart is empty, so this planet has no more health to give me. But I might actually be able to beat this dragon. Because I got all these turrets. Yes! I did it on the fucking first run! I don't think I've ever done that before. The dragon dropped a super mysterious ultra-dimensional time stone. Grab it. And yeah, it doesn't even give you the things that the boss drops automatically. You have to go get them. So he dropped a bunch of diamonds and this super ultra mysterious time stone. And see, I just lost all of those diamonds because I didn't get them fast enough. One stone hasn't been found? I don't fucking know. I'm old as shit. Okay, so since this planet was kind of my original home base, I'm going to start healing it back up again by planting some more little planty plants. I think if I take the 8-ball to him, it unlocks something, so I'm going to bring it to him. Sup, bearded guy? I'm coming back at you like Cleopatra! God, I got over 100 diamonds. It's crazy. Like, on my first run in this game, I didn't do nearly this well. And I'm not even doing very well. I mean, I at least know the controls. My number ball! You brought it to me! I lost this years ago after floating by a strange glitchy patch in space. Oh, and that's telling you about the glitches, which I may or may not find because there's, like, 2 in each thing. And, the map looks much, much smaller than it actually is, if you hadn't guessed that by now. So, this world is actually quite big. And the planets are different sizes and have different kinds of enemies on them. So I'm going to try and heal this one, because this is actually one of the best planets to use as a base, just because it's one of the easiest to get back to. Because all of these teleporters lead me to, like, different planets in different areas of the galaxy. So I can always kind of just be like, okay, where's the closest warp planet? And then I can just warp back here, back to my base. But it's going to be guarded by a lot of fuckers. And I don't know if maybe I have to beat a certain number of like bosses or enemies before the power-ups start showing up. But eventually you can, like, enemies will start dropping power-ups that make your gun stronger, so, you know, you don't have to do as many shots to kill the little shitty guys. I mean, the little dudes on the planets pretty much always only take one shot, but you know, various spaceships and like those flying green dudes take a lot more shots, and the bosses take more and more shots as the game goes on. You know, your standard upswing in a difficulty curve. But this is one of the hardest parts of it, is just trying to get the planet ready while all of this stuff is fucking like sieging you. And you're just like, how about get fucked? How about go fuck yourself? And you know, you gotta worry about the stuff that's on. God damn it, I couldn't even see him. That's one of the more annoying things, is some of the smaller enemies, like, they're so tiny and close to the ground that they're like fucking blend in with the plant life, and you're just like, oh, there's a thing that did damage to me. Cool. And I hate those fucking guys because they make you lose your diamonds. Oh my god. And yeah, so as you can see, this is a much bigger planet, so it's taking me a lot more plants in order to revive it. And these little fucking Day of the Tentacle style dudes. Let's see. And then you got to make sure you're going through and collecting your seeds, or else you're going to run out and you're not going to be able to plant any more plants. But pretty much every plant gives you at least 2 or 3 seeds. Some of them give more. And see, look at that. They just appear out of the ether. Like, there's no set spawn points or anything like that. They can just spawn and basically already be shooting at you. And you just kind of have to deal with it. That's one of the things that does make this game really hard, is that the enemies are very unpredictable. You know, there's a lot of randomized elements to this game. But I think in this kind of game that definitely works in its favor. Like, if everything was scripted events, it would be way too easy to just, you know, come up with a strategy. And this isn't a game that you can necessarily strategize with. You just kind of have to do the best with what you have. And, it's not really a survival game or a horror game, but I think it uses a lot of elements that survival horror games used to use and kind of don't anymore. The Resident Evil series, I think, is a really good example of that. How, like, back in the earlier games, you even had limited saves, which is crazy to think about. Like, I really can't think of games that do that kind of thing anymore. Like, you know, you actually have a resource that lets you save. I'm talking about the ink ribbons in the early Resident Evil games. I think that was a really, really cool idea and very well executed in those games, because it makes it so you can't really do the disposable hero style of gameplay, as I like to call it, where it's just like, well, you know, I just saved so I can just run ahead and scope out the room, and if I don't do the right thing, well, I'll die, but I can always just reload that save. God, so many fucking plants this needs. Jesus Christ. How many do I even have here? And as you get further in the game, I'm not 100% sure on this, but it certainly seems like the enemies start to spawn a lot more frequently. You got a beautiful star-shaped necklace, though it seems to emit evil. Press S to put it down. So I'm going to bring this back to that fucker, because he'll probably tell me what it's for. But first I'm going to finish watering that plant. And then it was the one right next to the flag that was going to take me back to that guy, yeah? Yep, there we go. Sup, old man? I can't believe you found the allegorical wart star. Alien scum will grow in strength with that around your neck. I don't want that shit. You should be able to activate this artifact from something the ancients referred to as the title screen? So yeah, I just unlocked an artifact that I can use the next time I play. There's various artifacts that do different things. And so I'm going to start getting this place set up as a base, start building some turrets. Oh great, those were my last bricks. And that's the other thing, you have these other resources. This is a supernova, these are my diamonds, these are my bricks. Oh Jesus! Oh god, that thing really fucking looks like a Pokemon to me. It's the Steel Psychic type. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head. Metagross, I think? That's what that thing really reminds me of. But anyway, so yeah, you only start with so many bricks, and you can collect more bricks as you go on from the chests that you get when you heal planets, or you can buy upgrades with your diamonds that let you start with more seeds and more bricks and just kind of make the beginning of the game easier, but you do still kind of have to ration out those resources or you are going to run out. And you never really know if or when you're going to get more because it's totally randomized. So this brought me back to that dude, so I'm going to take this one, because this is one of the easier ways to just kind of get around the galaxy, is to get to this center planet quickly, and then just kind of use it to teleport you around. This is right on the edge of the galaxy. Holy shit. That's why everything is red. It's basically indicating that, hey, if you keep going in this direction, you're going to fly out of the galaxy and then die. You can see I'm actually pretty much off the border of the map. Am I gonna encounter people who drop power-ups, like, ever? Like, damn. Every once in a while, one of those spaceships will be, like, flashing, and that is to indicate that it will drop a power-up when you beat it. But I haven't seen, like, any yet, and it's really kind of starting to frustrate me because those power-ups are really fucking useful. I mean, it's a power-up in a video game. Of course it's useful. Of course you want it. I gotta be really careful on this planet, though, because if I go anywhere pretty much other than out in the one direction that's leading me back towards the rest of the galaxy, I'm probably gonna die near instantly. But I just want to get this place healed up, and this planet is fucking big, too. See, the big planets are kind of nice because they have more space, but they're also not nice because you have to plant so many more plants to get them healed. But what the more space means is that you have more room to put down more turrets and the other kinds of turrets that you unlock. Like, you can make, like, flame turrets that are better at destroying the stuff that's actually on the planet versus the stuff that's in space. And, so yeah, it's a really interesting game of just kind of, like, action and exploration and resource management and kind of figuring out this vague story that, you know, it definitely seems like they left it vague and mysterious very much on purpose. And, how about fuck you? Ow. So yeah, not only do they fire at you, they spawn little enemies onto the planet at you, which is just really annoying because every enemy is a double threat. Hey, how about fuck you? How about that, How about you and the getting of fucked? Oh, Jesus, it's a big one of those guys. Oh, wow. He went down much faster than I thought. Normally, just kind of the bigger an enemy is, the more hits it takes to kill, but he was pretty easy for some reason. I just want to get this fucking planet healed, because until I get it healed, I'm not getting any health back from it. I haven't taken up... God damn it! I keep forgetting to dodge the lasers. So yeah, this is a really fun game, and I hope in my playing of it I'm inspiring people to buy it. Holy shit, it's one of the glitches! Oh my god, I can't believe I found one already. Oh no, I needed to take the 8-ball with me and go through one of the glitches. That's what it was. There's like different outfits you can unlock, and some of the unlock methods are really weird and obscure, but I'm pretty sure the glitch outfit you get by bringing the 8-ball into one of the glitches. Because the guy says he lost it when he went through one of the glitches with it. So, like, his descriptions of the various items, if they're used to unlock things, will usually be kind of a hint on how to unlock it. And there's still quite a few things. Like, I've played this game a lot, like, probably upwards of 100 to 200 hours total, and there's still a lot of stuff I never unlocked, and it's, you know, I kind of have to start over on the unlocking, because I didn't know when I uninstalled it that I was going to lose all of my progress and everything. Which, honestly, not really that upset about, because it's all stuff I can get back. It's just going to be a little bit tedious for some of it. And, depending on how much you guys like this video, I might keep playing this game. So if you like it and you want me to keep playing it, just leave a comment and let me know. Because, as I said before, I really fucking enjoy this game. It has a really strange charm to it that, again, I think it's just a really good kind of example of a lot of the ways that indie game developers can, not really sure how to say it, not necessarily use their resource limitations to their advantage, but make it so it's not as much of a disadvantage. And it's just kind of fits with that whole thing of creativity is a response to artistic limitations and material limitations. So, like one of my favorite examples of it is Clerks, the movie Clerks, which is in black and white, and all of these people that analyze the movie are like, oh, it's an artistic and stylistic choice showing like the dreariness of their lives and how like unexciting everything is. Hey, another new enemy. I fucking hate this guy. God, I'm really not getting any upgrades yet. Do I really have to beat a certain number? Anyway, Clerks is in black and white, and everybody, well, not everybody, but a lot of people talk about it, and they're like, "Oh, it's such a interesting, stylistic, and artistic choice." And Kevin Smith has said in multiple interviews, he's like, "I really wish I could take credit for that, but I couldn't afford color film. That's the reason it was in black and white." And the reason that the gates on the convenience store that they worked at were always closed was because he didn't have enough money to pay the people who owned that place, the actual store, to like close it down and let him film when it would have otherwise been open. So he had to do it all after they were closed, like at night. All of the internal and all of the interior and exterior shots were done at night. And it's the same deal with the church scene when they go to the funeral, in that there is no actual funeral scene. It's just them going to the church and then them leaving the church afterwards and talking about what happened. And he's like, some people say that, I made the choice because, it would be what you can come up with in your head is funnier than anything I could put on film and yada yada yada. And it's like, just no, I didn't have enough money to pay the church to let me film inside. So I just kind of had to make do with that. And I think those are two really interesting examples of creativity as a response to limitations. And it's like, yeah, Kevin Smith had practically no money when he made that movie, and he funded the whole thing pretty much on his own cash. And that's fucking incredible to me that, something that's considered one of the greatest cult classics of all time was made on a budget of like less than $2,000. And it was just like Kevin Smith and some of his friends for the most part. Like, I think he and, God, what's the guy's name? Jason Mewes. I forget the guy who plays Dante and Randall. I say Alex something, but I don't know that that's right. See, now the enemies are really coming out in force. And you can see there's a planet counter up at the top right. That's how many planets I've liberated. And boss will show up every so often, depending on the number of planets that you've liberated. So it is kind of like checkpoints, but not really. The nice thing is that the stones that they drop give you the opportunity to start in a way that boss will not spawn. You don't have to fight that boss again. I don't like to do that, though, because it basically means you're starting later in the game with fewer resources. Because it's like, okay, now the first boss that shows up is going to be the second boss, but you don't start with a bunch of planets already liberated. So it's like, if the first boss shows up at 2 planets, but you start with their artifact, instead the second boss is going to show up at 2 planets. And I'm like, well, shit, I don't really want that to happen. That seems kind of like the opposite of what I want. So yeah, now shit is spawning like crazy. Oh, that's right, those guys put poison gas out after they die. I fucking hate that. Holy shit, have I really been going for over half an hour already? God damn. I mean, that just goes to prove my point of what I was saying earlier. I honestly don't remember if I said it in the actual recording or the test I was doing to make sure the audio levels were right, but it really does kind of bring me back to the days of when I was playing, like, Super Mario on the Game Boy, and I would play that game for hours upon hours and just completely lose track of time as I was playing it, because even though it was, compared to today's standards, an incredibly primitive game on a very basic handheld that has like less than 1/100th of the power of the average smartphone, which is fucking mind-boggling when you really think about it. Those games, as primitive as they were, I mean, obviously they weren't primitive at the time, but just by the merits of their design, they were incredibly engrossing and could just keep your attention for hours, at least as a kid, and these games really, I think, carry on that spirit very well. Because they're still dealing with limitations. It's just the nature of the limitations is different. Like in the early days, they were dealing with technological limitations, and just like, these systems can only do 2D games. They don't have the processing power to handle like a big 3D engine. Whereas now, like comparing like Pokemon X and Y and Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire to the original Pokemon games, it's like fucking cave paintings versus the goddamn Mona Lisa. It's insane, like the advancements that have been made. So I'm going to have to bring this strange container back to that old guy too, because I think that's an artifact as well. But the artifacts will only activate to the point that you can use them if you bring them back to the old man. So I got to go back to this planet on the corner of the fucking galaxy. Hopefully I don't miss, because if I do, I'm really fucked. And then I gotta hop in that teleporter. And yeah, enemies will continue to spawn on the planets even when you're not on them. So that can be really dangerous. So if you're going back to a planet, even one that you've liberated, you can still be kind of fucked, because there can still be enemies there. I hate these eyeball guys, because they take 1,000,000 hits. They can fly through the planets, which I think is kind of bullshit. Yeah. They're some of my least favorite. By the tides of Anchovia, this is the legendary energy pack of Yamicles. When activated, it should double the amount that planets can heal you. So that's an incredibly useful fucking artifact. So essentially, planets lose half as much health for healing me the same amount, or heal me twice as much by expending the same amount. Either way you want to look at it, it means the same thing. So these little blue guys, I think actually, I'm just realizing this now, but I think their size is actually relative to the size of the planet that they're on. I really never realized that. If that's the case, that's really cool. And that's another thing about these indie games. A lot of the times you can spend a fucking 100 hours playing them and still be discovering shit like that you never really even noticed before, because at least in a game like this, there's so much to pay attention to, like, all the time. Alright, so I'm up to 5 planets liberated, and, like, I'm going around and I'm still liberating more planets. Still haven't gotten any more bricks. So this planet up here in the top right is still kind of my home base, just because it's the only planet with 5 turrets on it. So if a boss shows up, I really need to get myself back to that planet fucking ASAP. So I'm going to take this teleporter now and see where that brings me. Pretty much all the... Yes! More bricks! 2 sets of bricks. Okay, so I'm going to take those back to that planet I was just on and start fortifying that as my new base. Because the center planet in the galaxy always has all the teleporters on it. Well, it's not always dead center, but it's usually pretty close to the center. It's always pretty big, so it's always a good place to serve as a home base, because it's also one of the easiest to get back to, and the teleporters move you much faster, obviously, than just trying to fly through space. So if you're in a boss fight and you need to get the fuck out of Dodge and get back to your base, being able to just teleport back is crazy handy. And I want to give the developers of this game a crazy handy. What? Anyway, so yeah, it's a game that it's one of those things that it's kind of difficult to get, like, great at this game just because of the random nature at it. It's kind of one of those easy to learn, hard to master things. Because, again, I've played this game a lot, and it's been a while, so I'm honestly surprised I'm doing as well as I am. Again, pretty much the first time I played this, that first boss absolutely destroyed me. I had no idea what I was doing. And that's something else that I actually really kind of like, going back and thinking about it, in that I feel like a lot of games, mainstream games especially, are too hand-holdy at the beginning of the game, and as much as I suck at it, I still really appreciate games like Dark Souls that are just like, you know what, fuck it, we're just going to be hard. We're going to be old school hard again, because that seemed to be what people wanted at the time, and I can definitely appreciate that. Let's see what this guy has. As we started to see a pattern, it all began to unravel. Every time we looked deeper, the system would adapt. We can't even comprehend how it did it. It made itself more abstract, but it was just a mutation of the original rules. But they were still rules. It was still a system. So that's a total mystery. I think I've run into that message before, and I've never been able to figure out what the fuck that thing is talking about. So anyway, I got another planet healed up, and there were just some bricks just chilling on the planet when I showed up, which is really cool. Because it's difficult to have a home base without any turrets on it. And I fucking hate these eyeball guys. They are the most annoying enemies. They go around planting these exploding mines, and they take way too many hits for how small and hard to hit they are. And they can fly through the planet, and you can't shoot something if it's inside the planet. It's kind of bullshit. So those are an enemy that, you know, having a lot of turrets around is basically mandatory in order to deal with. Holy shit, I have a lot of bricks now. That's good. Because you really do need to have like a solid home base that you keep stocked with turrets and keep putting new plants down on so that it can continue to heal you. I legit have no idea how long I want this video to be. I'm honestly wondering if I maybe just want to keep going until I die, because I think it'll be interesting to see how many planets I can liberate on like a no upgrade, no artifact run, which is essentially what I'm doing right now, because you're kind of forced to do it. Like, it's not a choice, it's not like a challenge run that I decided to do, like the fucking no buster run in buster only run in Mega Man X or whatever. Or, you know, shit like that, or like the no save run in Shovel Knight, which is a game I will probably be doing a Let's Play of eventually. Shit, I wasn't even thinking about that, but I'm probably going to do that as part of this series too, because I think that's another good example of keeping the spirit of the old games alive in the new indie games, because goddamn do I love Shovel Knight. I cannot say enough good things about that game. I'm going to take this teleporter now. Oh, that's the one that got me there in the... No... And see, right pretty much back to the edge of the galaxy again, just on the other side. So for the most part, each teleporter is going to send you to a corner of the galaxy or back to that guy's place. The bearded dude who's kind of just like the mentor, you know, like this is how the game works sort of character. This is one of the plants that can hurt you, and I fucking hate these things. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be an homage to the piranha plants from the original Mario games, but they're really fucking annoying and I hate them, because normally you're like, ooh, yay, a new plant, it'll give me seeds and help me out, right? But I'll show you what happens when it gets fully up. So it's got a fucking face and spits shit at you, and if you touch it, it'll bite you. And then even what it fucking leaves is like a claw in the planet that hurts you if you walk over it. And you can only get rid of those, I think, with the Nova, which I have none of, and don't expect I will be running into anytime soon. That's that little, like, orange explosion icon down there by where the bricks and the seeds are. God, fuck you. And, like, I really like the whole thing with the arrows, like, telling you where the enemies are. Fucking eyeballs. They take so many hits. There we fucking go. But yeah, I'm doing way better than I expected. I honestly thought I was going to be dead, like, 10 minutes into this playthrough. Oh, shit. It's another one of those fuck bags. I hate those guys, if you couldn't tell. God damn it. And yeah, some of the enemies are just so fast, they just come at you, and there's no way for you to see them coming, and then they've already done damage to you. So, a lot of parts of this game are pretty brutal, but overall it's a pretty forgiving game, because there is essentially an unlimited supply of health, as long as you ration it properly and keep the keep the planets healthy, and, you know, go to planets that have been drained and refill them. And so, obviously, the artifact that makes them heal you twice as much is one of the most useful artifacts in the game. And if you ask me, it kind of makes it a little bit too easy, because, good God, that is helpful. God, fuck these guys. 2 on 1 planet? Usually there's not that many. And I'm wondering if maybe those guys only start showing up after you've had a certain number of planets liberated, because it seems like I really didn't get any up until I was at 6. So, there are a lot of rules in this game that Again, I might be totally wrong on that. That might be just a coincidence that's happening in this playthrough, but I'm sure there's lots of rules in this game that the game never actually explains to you and just kind of leaves you to discover for yourself, which is cool because, you know, back in the old days, that's just kind of how games were. And, like, you know, they had such limited space on the cartridges that, like, so many of the rules it had to explain to you through the manual, and then if you didn't have the manual, you were just totally screwed. Um, I remember we had a game when we were younger. It was an NES game called Star Tropics, and we bought it secondhand, so it didn't have the manual. And little did we know at the time, my brother and I, that there's a code in the manual that you need in order to make a submarine work in order to continue with the game. And that happens relatively early on in the game. And we didn't have the manual, so we didn't have the code. So we just got to that point and we couldn't continue with the game. So we had that game sitting just unplayed, unbeaten for years up until, like, game reviews on the internet started to be, or game walkthroughs on the internet started to become more of a thing, and then we were actually able to be like, oh, this code is the same for every copy of the game, so we can just put in that code that we now know that there was zero way for us to know before. Not necessarily saying that's good design, that was just a really early form of copy protection back in the days of cartridges, when I don't understand why they really needed copy protection. Like, was anybody copying cartridges? Like, what? Anyway, so yeah, I've got a decent home base here, and so now second dragon is showing up, and this one shoots way more fire and has way more health, and so I'm just going to juggle, and this is, ouch, one of the best strategies for beating bosses in this game, to just kind of stick to your home base until they're too, you know, dangerous there, and getting, like, the dragons are another enemy that can go through the planet and kind of fuck you over. So I stick at my home base until it's gotten too close, and then I teleport back to this planet until he gets too close again. And then I'm like, hey, guess what? Fuck you. And I go back to my base and wait for him to fly back over here and get shot by my turrets again. And this is definitely one of the most effective ways I've found of beating bosses in this game. Problem is, I can't build any more turrets right now. And I really wish I could, because this guy's got a lot of health. But, yeah, this is pretty much the best way I've found to deal with him. And then, fuck you! And then, you know, I go really far away back to a different planet and draw him out again. And just wait for him to show up. So, yeah, I was here, so he's got a long ways to go before he can get back to a point where he can hit me again. So this is also a good way to go and recoup your health if you've lost any during the boss fight. Because again, if you've been resourcing your if you've been managing your resources correctly, you know, any planet you go to is going to have at least a small amount of health to give back to you. So he's probably going to be showing back up pretty soon. Fuck you. Yep, there he is. And so I can kind of shoot in his general direction and hope that my shit hurts him. Nope. And bye. God, if I can even get to, much less beat the third boss in one playthrough with no upgrades, I will be super happy and pretty proud of myself. And this is all going to be one video. I'm not going to cut this because I feel like that would kind of defeat the purpose of the series, in that it's just like a showcase of games. But yeah, I'm just going to kind of keep going until I die, or, I don't know, I should probably set some sort of limitation for myself. Maybe, if I get to the fourth boss, regardless of whether or not I beat it, I'll stop there. Because if I remember correctly, the fourth boss is a really interesting and cool boss. Oh, that's right, I forgot about the Moai statues. Oh shit, oh shit, I gotta get to the correct one. Shit! Oh, that was the wrong one. Oh, crap. See, now, I have to heal this planet before I can warp back. And yeah, enemies definitely start spawning more frequently, and more difficult enemies start spawning after you reach a certain point. So this could very well be the end for me. because I accidentally warped to the wrong planet. So that's actually one good thing to do early in the game, is to get to the warp planet as quickly as possible and go to every planet that it warps you to and liberate it so that all of the warps are active so that you don't fuck yourself like I just did. So I'm gonna fucking try and get the hell out of Dodge. And just fuck it. Come on, I'm so slow. I hate these beehives. That's one artifact I actually really like, is the one that makes it so those beehives don't spawn. Because those wasps are really shitty enemies to deal with. Oh no. Oh no, 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 no. Oh, this is wrong. This is bad wrong. This is badong. How about fuck you? There we go, back to base. Nope, get the fuck out of the menu. Goodbye. Oh god, I did it again. To the same one, too! Fuck. Whatever. I'm still doing pretty well. Actually, I think if I beat this boss, if I die to or beat the second boss, I'll call it, because this video will... Once I've beaten this boss, this video will probably be close to an hour, which is a long time. But again, does not feel to me like it's been an hour. I fucking love this game. I really do. It's just, it's such a cool concept, and it's so well executed, and this dragon is gonna kill me. God, fuck. No, no, no. Fuck off. And see, like, this is a case where having one of the upgraded weapons would be really helpful, because I'm doing, like, no fucking damage to this guy right now. Okay, back to the turrets. This is going to be another bad idea. Okay, good. This planet actually has stuff now, which is good, because I really need the health. So yeah, I drained that planet of its health almost entirely because I was so fucking hurt. Oh sweet, I got a Nova! Fuck yeah. Am I hitting it? It's this way. So you can kind of tell which one of the red things are going to be the boss just by kind of the way it moves. And I'm fucking out of here. Back to base. There was one of the planets that I passed by that had some fucking bricks on it, but I didn't have a chance to stop and grab them. But yeah, I'd completely forgotten about the Moai statues, which I believe actually slowly heal whatever planet you put them on. So you can actually have it regain health without planting more stuff on it, which is crazy useful, as you might be able to imagine. So I'm probably going to beat this boss here. Yes! Fuck you! So yeah, I think that's a really good demonstration of why having a base is very important. Diamonds, they're like super awesome thingies. They're worth 250. Oh, okay, I thought those were just called diamonds. Another stone must have been found, but how could that be? I don't know, maybe because I'm fucking cool as shit. Well, fuck, what do I want to do now? Because I don't just want to quit, because that feels like it would be a waste. I think I might just stop the video here and keep playing on this one and just see how much I can unlock, because I adore this game, guys, if that wasn't obvious yet. But I hope I've done a good job at explaining what I do like about this game, and I feel like I've reiterated myself on at least a couple of the points, and there may be some things that I missed, but I think this was a good way to start my kind of indie appreciation series, and I'm going to be going through and doing a lot of games, indie games that I like. Clearly, I'm going to have played all of them before, because or else how would I know that I like it, but Kentucky Route Zero, I guess, is unofficially a part of my indie appreciation series. I'm going to pause the game so I don't accidentally die. I'm going to be playing FTL again, which was actually one of my earliest Let's Plays on my channel. And I'm going to be going back and playing that again because I've gotten much, much better at it since I played it on the channel originally. I still suck at it, but I have gotten a lot better. Also, I'm looking at the software and I just realized that the bottom might have been weirdly cut off for pretty much the whole game. Shit. Sorry about that. I did not test that properly. Anyway, hopefully that didn't hurt it too much. All that's down there is my health bar, my jetpack bar, and then my various resources, the bricks, the supernovas, the seeds, and then how many diamonds I have. So it's probably really not that big of a deal. I'll fix it for the next video I do. Anyway, thank you guys so much for stopping by. I hope you've enjoyed the beginning of Indie Game Appreciation series. It's not going to be like a week or a month or anything like that. It's basically going to be until I run out of fun indie games that I like and want to play for you guys and showcase for them. So if there are any indie games that you guys really like and want me to play, leave me a comment and suggest a way. If they're not too expensive and I don't have it, I'll buy it and play it for at least a little bit on my own to see if I like it, see if it's a good example of the things that I love about indie games. But I have a lot. I've got a big list of games I'm going to be playing. I don't want to spoil really any of them for you guys, but it's going to be a relatively long series, and I decided to do this instead of my standard, just like, play through a full section of an adventure game Let's Play, because this is a lot easier for me to just kind of like pick up and make a video. Like when I want to sit down and do something like Kentucky Route Zero, I like to have a lot of time set aside for me to be able to do that, just so I can make sure that I'm doing the game justice and playing it properly and things like that, making sure that I don't do stupid stuff like have the bottom piece of the game cut off by my capture. Sorry about that again. Anyway, thanks again so much, guys, for joining me. I really appreciate everybody who has stayed subscribed to my channel, due to the fact that it had been, I think, 11 months between the last episode of Tales for the Borderlands and the first episode of Kentucky Route Zero. So thanks again to everybody who continues to follow me and checks in with my new videos when I put them out. This one is going to be going up early November. So, maybe I'll have some more shit to talk about afterwards after the election is over. So we'll just have to see about that. I don't like to get too political on my videos, but fingers crossed that our country isn't completely fucked in about a week or so. So, again, thank you. That's like the fourth time I've said it already. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know if there's any indie games that you really like that you want me to play. Just leave a comment. I always appreciate any comments, likes, subscribes, shares. I feel like I was a lot more tame in this video than I usually am. But, yeah, again, I appreciate you guys more than I can really put into words. I didn't want to put it too much into this video because I talked about it a lot in Kentucky Route Zero, but this Friday, November 5th, this video will hopefully be going up on the 3rd or the 4th. I'm going to be doing my 24-hour stream for Extra Life for charity on Twitch. There will be a link to my Twitch channel in the video description. I would super appreciate it if you guys stop by or shoot me a donation. I'll put the donate link to my Extra Life down there as well. Any amount of money helps. Literally any amount. $1, $10, $3.50, I don't care. Literally any amount helps. It's money to help sick kids get better, and it's a really cool cause that I love being a part of. And if I raise at least $1,000, I'm gonna dye my hair, and then next year I'm gonna start doing cams on my videos. So if you guys want me to do some webcam videos with crazy hair color next year, stop by and drop me a couple of bucks. So yes, thank you guys. This video is like an hour long. Shit, this is gonna be like one of the longest single videos I've ever done, other than one of the Tales from the Borderlands, which was like 2.5 hours. I'm gonna shut up now, because if I don't, this video is gonna be like an hour and a half. And the last half hour is just gonna be me rambling over the menu. So yes, thank you guys. I hope you have a great day, and stay tuned for more of my Indie Appreciation series.